Okay, so we're researching bipolar disorder, and I'm here with...
I'm Adriana.
And I'm Igor.
Okay, and you guys do what for your professions?
I am a high school counselor.
And I'm a forensic specialist in mental health.
Okay, awesome. So, what kind of experience do you guys have with patients who have bipolar disorder?
Well, there's quite a few patients at my hospital that have bipolar disorder and many other disorders. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen it firsthand how they can just switch. So, I mean,
What do you guys find most challenging with working with these patients? Like, how is it hard? Like, is it hard to interact with them?
Yes, it's very hard to interact with them because, as Adriana's already said, they're very manic. So, if you want them to do something or get your point across, it's hard to get your word in because they'll just keep talking, and most of the time they'll talk loud, very loud, very, very loud. So yeah, it's hard to work with them.
And they'll also be talking about like 10 things at once. So they'll go from crying, and telling a story about what's going on with them, and then to like 30 seconds later laughing about it. So their emotions are so they fluctuate so much, you can't really keep up with it, and at the end of interacting with somebody like that, you're just exhausted. You can't, it's really hard to try to get to reason with them.
And is that only during the manic episodes, or is that like a constant, like day to day?
Well, since I deal with the same patient for months, they could be perfectly fine and I guess you could say normal for weeks, and then out of nowhere a day comes and it's like a whole day of them just going through this, but it usually only lasts like that day, and then the next day they'll be back to
if they have their medications.
Yeah, at our hospital they're usually on the medication.
Yeah.
So.
And what do you guys think is the most important like value or trait to have while working with these? Like, as you guys, like, personally, what do you think is the like most helpful thing to have while working with them?
I think with Igor, I think he's really good at his job because he has so much patience, and you have to have patience. So when you have a patient whose level is up here at level 10, you can't match that. You have to stay at your own calm level and try to get them to meet you at least halfway out. You're not going to have a manic patient meet you down there, but you just can't escalate your where you're at, because it's just going to make it worse.
And the best thing to do is just try to redirect, but probably won't work with them at that moment.
Yeah.
So.
And what would you like? What would you redirect them to? Like,
oh, you can redirect them any way. Like at our hospital, you can say, "Hey, we have headphones. You want to listen to headphones?" And sometimes that will just get their attention. Just listening to music, or helps a lot. Or like, "Hey, you want to go outside?" That way he can still have his episode outside. Or at least it's outside, and it's not like inside the unit where it's very echoey and loud.
And disturbing other patients.
Yeah, stuff like that to redirect them.
Okay. And what would you guys say is like the biggest lesson you've learned from your patients or from your coworkers? Like patients, or I'm assuming.
It's students. Which with bipolar, I haven't seen it too much in students. I've seen most, other stuff, especially like depression and anxiety and things like that. But I think one thing you can learn is that you never know what somebody's going through, because they can be they can be completely functional adults and just one day just be completely different, completely depressed, or having panic attacks, or having a manic episode. You never know what people are going through.
And you just have to learn to not take it personal, because they might say something that could possibly offend you. You just gotta let it go, because what I've learned is maybe like the next day or even like a week later they'll come up to you and apologize, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that what I said to you," because they're going through that. So
I'm getting the chills. Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to find my questions. So, do you, like, with functioning adults and stuff like that, and your students and whatnot. Is it like hard? Is it hard for you guys to like experience that and to see that happening? And like, do you guys feel like sad for them in any kind of way, or?
Oh yeah, of course.
Definitely, yeah. And you have to. I've always said I was able, that I should be going into doing this job, because you have to be really good at not taking things home with you, because it's really easy to always think about that one student or that one patient that's like, you just feel so sad for. Like you want to help as much as you can, but there's only so much you can do. Yeah, it is very hard, but you have to learn how to not take that stuff home with you. And I think I'm pretty good at it. I'll usually, when I have especially hard days, I'll usually give myself the drive home. And usually when I have those kinds of days, I don't, the music isn't on or anything like that. I'm just sitting the drive home. But as soon as I get home, you have things at home. You have, my puppy and Igor and, different things at home that kind of help you get out of that. But yeah, it sometimes is hard to.
Yeah, you gotta just learn how to let it go, and it takes time once you get in that field. First, even the new hires that we have, they're having a hard time. I can see their, attitude or, the way they act changed when I first met them, like two months later. So they just have to adapt to it. And it takes a while. It takes like a year. I think it takes about a year.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, sometimes there are people that just can't.
Yeah, some people can't handle it.
They take it home too much and they get burnt out, and it's totally understandable.
Yeah, because you gotta think about it. In this field, a lot of people work 10 to 12 hours a day, so you gotta deal with everybody's problems and situations, and then you gotta go home and deal with your own life. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
You gotta have your own self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
That's like going to a gym, hang out with your family, just do anything you love.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you gotta find whatever is gonna help you pull you out of that.
Okay, so for people not in like the field with you, like you guys, like school counselor and the mental, what was it again? Forensic specialist. Okay, sorry. Like for people like at home, like just brothers and sisters, and how do you think? What advice would you give them to like help cope with that?
I know it sounds so like, for us, it's redundant, because everybody always tells us self-care, find something that you love, but it really is just that. Like, you need to, advice for people who are in it is just, you need to separate yourself at some point from what you hear and people who you're trying to help. You need to separate yourself from that at some point and learn how to do that and just not distract yourself, but kind of get into things that you like. Just it's self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
I do think you have to have a certain kind of personality to be in this field. A lot of people can adapt and learn how to work in the field and how to not mesh themselves in with their job too much. But then there's people that don't, and that's fine too, because it's not easy.
Right.
Yeah, you just gotta pace yourself in that field. So you can't take too much on. You gotta you just gotta pace yourself. You don't want to do too much for everybody. All the patients or her students, because then you're gonna get burnt out quick, and you still got like the whole week to work. So
right.
You don't want to do too much.
Right. This is kind of not on topic, but kind of what made you guys want to do, help people, and what made you want to go into your guys' fields?
Well, I started in like, my first job was kind of in like a social work. I wasn't a social worker, but it was a social work kind of job, and I loved doing it. It was just the actual job was very dangerous because it was in home and everything. So I got into it because that job that I had, I knew I wanted to be doing something with kids, helping kids. And I with adults, I do want to help adults too, but my thing was kids, being there for the kids. So I got into that, and then I went into school counseling just because it was a little safer for me, because I was going in to houses alone at night in the not so best parts of town. But I loved what I did. I loved working with people and trying to help them and things like that. But I went into school counseling because it was not in home.
Right.
It's a little bit safer.
Well, for me, I was going to school for criminal justice. I was going to do something in law enforcement. But I found the forensic specialist, you still do law enforcement, but you deal with mental health more than law enforcement, even though you still have the title. So, I mean, I think it's pretty good for me because for some reason I do really good with mental health and I still get to do the law enforcement part. So, it's good.
It's like a win-win.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Is there anything else you guys would like to say about the bipolar disorder? Or
No, just if you're ever there, you just don't take anything personal and just be patient.
Right.
That's true.
That's it.
And yeah, it could last hours, so
Oh yeah.
your head's gonna hurt.
Yeah, you'll be very exhausted after dealing with a manic patient.
Usually
so.
they're very loud. Very loud. And emotions, a lot of emotions. Sad, angry, crying, mad, everything.
Yeah, so just take care of yourself after.
Okay. So that sounds good. All right. Thank you guys so much for this.
Okay.